Yeah. Hi guys. Good evening, everyone. In the last class, we are trying to understand what is HTTP protocol, what is the HTTP method, when to go for which method, what are the HTTP status codes available, and what is the request and what is the response. Right. Fine. Next, we started our discussion related to JSON. What is a JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is used to represent data in key value format. JSON is a universal format to exchange the data over the internet. JSON data will be looking like this. Key and value will be available. Keys are string and values are direct values. Right. Now here in the Java, we don't have a direct class or method to convert the Java object to JSON or JSON data to Java object. So if you want to convert Java object to JSON or JSON to Java object, there are third-party APIs available. One is called Jackson API, another one is called JSON API. So now if you want to work with go to the project, file, new. I'm going to create normal Maven project. I'm going for normal Maven project. I'm not using any Spring Boot. I want to create normal Java project and I want to convert Java object to JSON and JSON to Java object. Click on next and create a simple Maven project. Group ID in.ashok IT, artifact ID 22, Jackson application. I want to create one Jackson application. Now click on finish. All right. Jackson project is created. Go to pom.xml. Nothing is available. I need to add a dependency. Now go here and go for dependencies section. Inside that, we need to add a dependency. I want to go for a dependency called Jackson API. It is not from Sun Microsystem, guys. That is a third-party API. We need to add the dependency. Go to mvnrepository.com and type Jackson. Now here we are going to get Jackson data bind. Jackson data bind dependency available. Take this data bind dependency. Now keep in our pom.xml. Okay, guys. Fine. Dependency. So Jackson dependency I have added. Fine. Good. Now let me create one simple Java class, new class. I'm taking a class with a name called customer in.ashok IT .binding. Just one normal Java class I'm taking with a name called customer. Fine. In this class, let me take some variables: private integer ID, private string name, private string ID name, email, private long phone number. Okay, I'm taking some data. Fine. Let me generate setters and getters for this. We can use Lombok also, setters, getters, and toString method. So I have taken one normal Java class. In that Java class, I'm having some variables. For those variables, I'm writing setter methods and getter methods, and I'm overriding toString method. Perfect. Now let me take one Java class. Now class here, I'm taking a class Java to JSON converter. I'm writing one class with a name called Java to JSON converter. So take a main method. Now, what is the class available to do the conversion? Object mapper. In the Jackson API, we are having object mapper class. Object mapper class provided the methods to convert Java to JSON and vice versa. Okay, so let me go here. Take one class customer object first. Customer C is equal to new customer. I want to set the data for the customer C dot set ID, some one, C dot set name, some robot, C dot set email. I'm representing data, that's it, in the form of Java object. Email, right? C dot set phone number, some value. This is a long value. Perfect. So with this, my object is ready with the data. Now, whatever the data that is available in my Java object. So this is my Java object. I can say that. So this is my customer Java object. This Java object, I want to convert into JSON file. Whatever the data that is available in the object, I want to convert this Java object into JSON document, JSON data. To JSON file. Perfect. So in order to do that conversion, mapper is equal to new object mapper. I'm creating the object for a class. That class is object mapper. Then in that there is a method mapper dot write value. Mapper dot write value into a file. Okay, I want to write the data into a file. Mapper dot write value file comma which object you want to convert. I'm giving new file with a name called customer.json. My object, that is customer object. Okay, I have the customer data. That customer data I want to convert into JSON file. Are you guys clear? The code is just 2 lines of code we are writing. We are taking one class. In that class we have normal variables, setters, getters available. Then I have taken Java to JSON converter, public static void main, string arguments. Customer C is equal to new customer, set ID, name, email, and phone number. Object mapper, mapper is equal to new object mapper. Then mapper dot write value. I'm passing the file. So take this customer data, convert that into JSON, and write the data into the file. And which object you want to convert? I want to convert only customer object. Check this in our project. Do I have any JSON file in the project, guys? If you see in my object, JSON file in my project, JSON file available, JSON file not available. In that project, JSON file is not available. Okay, let me run this program. After execution completed, system.out.println JSON file created. JSON file create. Guys, I had out today morning for a drive, 70 to 80 people came. For class, why that number is not coming for the class? For the drive, people are coming. Why they are not coming to the class? Huh? For next Monday or Wednesday drive, we will check the attendance. Who is having attendance, they will only allow it. Okay, today morning I have seen full strength come. Full strength came for the morning, but now in the evening class, half of the strength is not there. So next time when the drive is there, we will check the attendance. Based on the attendance, then only we will allow. Right. If you are not coming to the class regularly, then after course completion, if you ask a job, how can I give you that? So first of all, you should be regular to the class. Right, fine. So here customer is available, customer data is available, object mapper is available, mapper dot write value. I'm taking the file and I'm taking the object, print that message successfully created. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, my application started, refresh this project. Now can you see customer.json file is created. Now Control Shift F, format it. Whatever the customer data I have, that customer data converted into JSON format. Customer data converted into JSON format. Able to understand? Yes, tell me, what is a JSON? Why we need to work with a JSON? What is the full form of the JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is used to represent data in the key value format. JSON is a universal format to exchange the data over the internet. So this is the structure of the JSON, right? This is the structure of the JSON. Key and value will be available. When we are developing our REST APIs, one application will communicate with the another application. MakeMyTrip application will take the data from the customer. MakeMyTrip will convert the data to JSON, will send the JSON data to IRCTC. IRCTC will execute the logic with the data, will send the ticket response with the JSON format to the MakeMyTrip. So now in the Java, we should be able to convert Java object to JSON, JSON data back to Java object. Now I have a customer ID, customer name, customer email, customer phone number. So when I convert the customer object to the JSON, this is how JSON is representing ID, name, email, and phone number. For example, customer having address also. Let me take a class called address class. Customer is having address also. Let me write private string city state, private string city, private string state, and private string country. City, state, country available. For this also I am going for setters and getters. Let me add the Lombok. Why this button? Project Lombok dependency. Project Lombok, take this. What is the benefit? I no need to write the setters and getters. Okay. Lombok dependency I have added. Now for the address class, let me write @data. Then setters, getters, constructor, toString, everything will be available. Go for customer also. Do I need the methods now? Not required. Simply I will write @data. Perfect. Now customer having the data and a customer is having some address also. Private address ADDR. Customer having some data and a customer having some address also. Now let me set the data to the address and set the address to the customer. Customer having address. Customer has address. So let me set the data to address object. Address ADDR is equal to new address. New address. Address dot set city some value and address dot set state. Okay. So here let me go for TG and address dot set country. Okay, India, something like this. Now customer dot set address, C dot set address of address. Now address is available. Address is available in the customer. Customer is having address. Now here I am creating object for object mapper. Mapper is equal to new object mapper. Mapper dot write value. New file customer.json. System.out.println JSON file created. So take this customer object, convert that into JSON, keep the JSON in the file. File name customer, extension .json. Right. Run this program, run as Java application. Yes, application started, JSON file created. Go to customer.json, Control-Shift-F, format it. Are we able to get the JSON? Yes. Customer ID is available, name available, email available, phone number and address is also available. Address contain city, state, country. In the Java, we need to consider address is one class and this JSON complete is one class. So complete JSON representing by customer. Inside the customer, address is a subclass. Right, it is one class. Customer class available, customer having address. I'm converting customer object to JSON format. Which class I am using? Object mapper. What is the method I am using? Write value. What are the parameters? file. In which file you want to store the data, which object you want to convert. Got it? Fine. Next one, I want to read the data back to the Java object. Now I have JSON. I have the JSON data. I want to read the JSON data and I want to convert the data into Java object. Okay. To do the conversion, which method I have used here? I have used one method called write value method. So in the object mapper, there is a method called write value. By using that, I converted Java object to JSON. JSON to Java, we will go for read value method. That's it. Object mapper class having write value and read value. Okay. So now let me create another Java class, new class, JSON to Java conversion. JSON to Java converter. JSON to Java converter. Now go for main method. I have JSON file. I have JSON file in my project directory. So let me represent that. File f is equal to new file. What is file name? Customer.json. So first I want to represent the file object. Okay. Next one, I want to read that JSON file and I want to convert the data into Java object. For that, first I need to go for object mapper. Mapper is equal to new object mapper. Object mapper is equal to new object mapper. Now let me go for mapper dot read value. Mapper dot read value. So now value is available in a file. Okay. And that file data should be converted to which object? It should be converted to customer object. Customer dot class. All right. Now let me take the return type of this method. This method will give me customer object. This method will give me customer object system.out.println of C. Until method. By using that, I'm calling one method called read value method. I'm passing the file which contains the JSON and I'm passing customer type. That means read the data from the file and convert into customer object, then print that customer object on the console. Run as Java application. Are we able to get the data? Are we able to get the data from the file? So now tell me, are you able to understand how to convert Java to JSON, JSON to Java? Yes, very simple, very simple. I have added one dependency in the form.xml. Okay, step 1, add Jackson dependency in form.xml file. So the first step, create normal Maven project. Create Maven. I'm not creating Spring Boot application, guys. I'm creating just a Maven project. That is Quick Start project. What is the meaning of Quick Start? What is the meaning of Quick Start? So Quick Start meaning it is standalone project. Now, after that project got created, add Jackson dependency in the form.xml. I have added Jackson as well as Lombok also. Jackson dependency added and Lombok dependency also added. Then after create binding class. What is the meaning of binding class? To represent data. I want to represent customer data. For that I am taking customer class. Now then converter classes. Create converter classes. So what is the meaning of converter classes? Java to JSON, JSON to Java. So here my binding classes, first one is address class. Then next one is customer class. Customer is having address. So this is my address class. Address class having a reference in the customer class. Then create converter classes. So first one is Java to JSON converter. I'm creating address object and I'm creating the customer object. I'm setting the address to the customer. Then I am calling object mapper. Mapper dot write value. I'm giving the file and I'm giving my object. The object will be converted to JSON and keep in that file. That's it. So this is Java to JSON converter. Java to JSON converter. And the next one, JSON to Java converter. File is already available. I'm using read value method. Now, this is another converter class. So with this, we understood what is Jackson API, how to convert Java object to JSON and JSON to Java object. Write value and read value. Write value method is used to convert the object to JSON. Read value method to convert JSON to Java. Clear? Similarly, there is one more API available that is called JSON API. If you go for JSON API, that is also used to convert Java to JSON, JSON to Java. In the JSON API, the methods are very simple. To JSON method is available, from JSON method is available. Okay, to JSON and from JSON. What is the meaning of to JSON? Java to JSON. What is from JSON? JSON to Java. So that is another API, and this is Jackson API. In the Jackson API, we have write value, read value. In the JSON API, we have to JSON and we have from JSON. You can simply Google it. JSON API example. Not builder. How to convert Java object to and from JSON. Now go here. What is the dependency? What is the dependency? JSON dependency. How to convert the Java to JSON? This is my staff object. Okay. JSON object is created. JSON is a predefined class. In that we have a method called to JSON. To read that, what is the method? From JSON. Right. So if you go for JSON API, to JSON method will be available and from JSON method will be available. So now if you want to experiment with JSON API, JSON is a third-party API. It is provided by Google. Google people provided this JSON API. JSON provided by Google. Provided by Google. Now dependency is available here. This is the dependency that we can add in our form.xml. JSON is a predefined class. In this API, we have predefined class that is JSON. Predefined class that is JSON. So how to write the code for this? We need to create JSON. JSON is equal to new JSON. Then JSON dot to JSON file comma object which you want to convert. File comma object which you want to convert. If you want to read it, then JSON dot from JSON file comma type, which class object you want to take it. The file data should be converted to which class object that you can take by using from JSON. Can you try this or I need to explain? Simple. Add the dependency, create the JSON class object and call to JSON method from JSON method. What is the purpose of to JSON? Convert Java object to JSON. Now here convert JSON data to Java object. Convert Java object to JSON. Convert JSON to Java object. To JSON and from JSON. So total, how many APIs are available to work with JSON data? 2 APIs are available. One is Jackson API and another one is JSON API. When we go for Spring Boot, you no need to add the dependency. Spring Boot by default will use Jackson API. Whenever you add a web starter, it will be using which API? Jackson API. Here we have written lot of logic to set the data and convert that to JSON and convert the JSON to Java. But whenever I am developing REST API, several times I need to convert the Java to JSON and JSON to Java. Is that only our project requirement or universal requirement? That is universal requirement. You no need to convert that. So whenever you are developing the REST API, converting the Java to JSON, JSON to Java will be taken care by Spring Boot by default. You no need to write that logic also. Sir, when we no need to write that logic, why we are learning? Internally, let me show you that. Let me take one something like this. I'm taking one application with a name called REST API. Okay, guys. Now, next up, Lombok web dependency. Okay, I'm not taking anything else. I'm taking Lombok and web. Am I taking Jackson dependency? No. Click on next, click on finish. Okay, here I have customer class. Let me take that. Let me take that customer class. My project, I want to show you that we no need to write this logic in the Spring Boot. We no need to write that logic in the Spring Boot. Okay. There is a mistake, man. 3.0 it used. Yeah. File, new, starter project, REST API. Next, 2.7.11. Lombok and web. Next, finish. We no need to write the Jackson logic directly, but we need to have the idea how Java is converting to JSON, JSON is converting to Java. Okay, go to this form.xml, check it. What dependency I added? Web. Next one is Lombok. That's it. Go to here, Maven dependencies. Can you see here? Dependencies are available or not available? What dependency available? Jackson data bind. Manually, I added same dependency in my previous project. But when I'm creating the boot application, do I need to add that or I no need to add that? No need to add that. Now, here in this project, I'm going to copy one class called customer.java. I'm using one class with a name called customer.java. Now, let me create one REST controller, new class. I'm creating customer REST controller. We don't know what is REST controller. Just to see how it is going to behave. I'm creating REST controller and I'm writing one method, public customer get customer. Public customer get customer. What is my method return type? What is my method return type? Customer. Okay. Take this class object and return that object. Take that object and return that object. I want to map it to get request, get mapping, slash. I'm not giving any URL pattern. What is happening in my method, guys? I'm creating the object, I'm setting the data, and I'm returning the object. Now, do I have any logic here to convert object to JSON? Do I have any logic to convert the object to JSON? No. I have taken one REST controller method. In that method, I am returning customer object. This class is a REST controller. What is the return type of the method? Object. Controller plus response body equal to REST controller. Is it going to return the view page or it is going to return the customer object? Customer object. Run this application, run as boot application. Run as boot application console, clear that. Now go to browser, localhost colon 8080. Localhost colon 8080. What is the response I'm getting? What is the response I'm getting? JSON data. What my method is returning? What my method is returning? Object. But what is the response I'm getting? JSON data. That means in the Spring Boot, do I need to write the logic to convert object to JSON? No. That will be taken care by Spring Boot. Why Boot is taking care of that? Because that is everybody's requirement. Everybody developing REST APIs by using Spring Boot. When we are developing the REST APIs, converting Java to JSON, JSON to Java is a very common requirement. Converting Java to JSON, JSON to Java is very common requirement. So you no need to write the logic. Now, internally, Spring Boot is executing these two lines of code. Internally, Spring Boot is executing object mapper, taking our customer object, converting to JSON, sending the JSON as a response. Are you guys clear? Perfect. Now, just see these classes. In the Spring Boot, you no need to write it, but normally you should have the idea how Java converted to JSON. Look at this code. No. Directly it will come as a response. First I am setting the data for address object. Then I am setting the data for customer object. Then I am converting the customer object to JSON. These are the two lines of code I am writing. Look at the two lines of code. Object mapper, mapper is equal to new object mapper. Mapper dot write value is equal to new file of customer dot JSON. Now, so this is converting Java object to JSON. Converting Java object to JSON. In the Spring Boot, that is internal logic. We no need to write it. Yeah. Now see how I am converting JSON to Java. Here, converting JSON to Java. Converting JSON to Java object. That's it. Converting Java to JSON and JSON to Java. All right, good. Any questions on JSON, guys? Anybody having any questions on JSON? What we have done to work with the JSON, we created one normal Maven project as a quick start project. We added Lombok dependency and Jackson data bind dependency. Then we created binding class. One is address class, another one is a customer class. Then we created converter classes, Java to JSON conversion and JSON to Java conversion. Next one, JSON API. What is the JSON API? Another company provided one API, that is Google. So in that we have a predefined class called JSON. JSON dot to JSON, JSON dot from JSON. All right, fine. Next one, XML and JAX-B. XML and JAX-B. All right. By guys, XML data, earlier it was famous, now it is outdated in the market. But just we need to have the overview. What is XML? How Java object will be converted to XML? XML will be converted to Java object. Nowadays in the REST APIs, people are not using the XML. Earlier, SOAP web services was famous. At that time, XML was famous. But today, REST API is famous. REST API using JSON data. Now let us see XML. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. XML is interoperable. XML is interoperable. What is the meaning of interoperable? It is platform independent and language independent. XML will represent data in element format. Okay, so this is called as one element ID 101. Close the ID. Syntax. XML will represent the data in the element format. Element is the combination of start tag and end tag. So this is called start tag and this is called end tag. Every element is combination of start tag and end tag. Every element is combination of start tag and end tag. Whenever we have a element, it's mandatory that it should have a start tag and end tag. That is called one element. Suppose if you don't write the end tag, that is invalid. That is invalid. So open tag and closure tag is mandatory. In the XML, we will write the data by using simple elements and compound elements. In the XML, we have two types of elements. In XML, we have two types of elements. First one is simple element and second one is compound element. First one is simple element, second one is compound element. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. XML is interoperable. XML will represent the data in element format. ID is available like this. Every element is a combination of start tag and end tag. In the XML, we have two types of elements. One is called simple element, second one is called compound element. Now let us see here. Person is available. Person open tag, person closure tag. Inside the person, ID available 101. And I have a name for the person, Sam Smith. Name is closed. Okay. And he is having address. Address open tag and address closure tag. Inside the address, city is available. Something like this. City available and state also available. Like this, we are going to represent the data in the XML format. Guys, see here, person, inside the person, ID, name, address. Inside the address, city and state. Now here, this XML is the combination of simple element and compound element. Simple elements means the elements which contains data directly. ID is a simple element because ID is having the data directly. ID 101. That means it is a simple element. Name Smith. That is also having the data directly. So it is called as simple element. What about the person? Compound element. Person is having the child element. Address is having the child element. If an element contains data directly like this ID, name, city, state, those elements are called as simple elements. If any element contains a child element, that element is called as compound element. So in the here, if we see in the JSON file also, same thing is available. In the JSON file also, same thing. It is having the direct data and it is having the child elements, right? Address is having childs. Now, these are normal elements. Address having the childs. So, address is a compound. Similarly, here in the person, person is a compound element because person is having child elements. Inside the person, ID available, name available, they are simple. City available, state available, they are simple. But person is a compound element, address is a compound element. Element which contains data directly. Elements which contains data directly are called as simple elements. The elements which contains data directly are called as simple elements. Example, ID, name, city, something like this. ID, name. These are called as simple elements. City, state also called as simple elements. City and state are called as simple elements. What is a compound element? Elements which contains child elements are called as compound elements. Elements which contains child elements are called as compound elements. What are those compound elements? First one is person and next one is address. First one is a person and the next one is address. They are called as compound elements. Are you clear? Perfect. Now here we are having requirement. I have the data in the Java object. I have the data in the Java object. I want to convert that Java object data to XML file. XML data. Java object should be converted to XML data. To convert Java object to XML, XML data to Java object, we have a mediator. That mediator is called JAX-B. Who is the mediator between Java and XML? That is JAX-B. JAX-B is one API. JAX-B stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding. I want to bind my Java object data to XML file, XML data to Java object. So to convert Java to XML, XML to Java, we need to go for one API called JAX-B API. The process of converting Java object to XML is called as marshalling. Okay, and the process of converting XML to Java is called as unmarshalling. Okay, now by using this JAX-B, I want to perform marshalling and unmarshalling. What is the meaning of marshalling? Converting from Java to XML is called as marshalling. What is unmarshalling? XML data to Java object is called as unmarshalling. Okay, fine guys. So JAX-B API. JAX-B API. JAX-B stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding. JAX-B API. JAX-B stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding. Java Architecture for XML Binding. Using JAX-B API, we can convert XML data to Java object and vice versa. Java to XML, XML to Java. So that is called as marshalling. What is a marshalling and what is a unmarshalling? Come on guys. What is a marshalling and what is unmarshalling? Marshalling is converting Java object to XML. Unmarshalling, converting converting XML to Java object. Okay. Note, in order to convert Java to XML, XML to Java, we need to create binding class. Okay, in the JSON also, we have taken one customer class. Customer class data I converted to JSON. JSON data converted to customer class. So similarly, when we want to work with JAXB API, Java classes should be available. JAXB stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding. What is the purpose of using this JAXB API? Using JAXB API, we can convert XML data to Java object and vice versa. Here, we are going to learn what is marshalling and what is unmarshalling. Can you tell me what is marshalling? What is marshalling? Converting Java object to XML is called as marshalling. What is unmarshalling? Converting XML data to Java object is called unmarshalling. And note, to perform marshalling or unmarshalling, we need to create binding class first. To perform marshalling or unmarshalling, we need to create binding class. Here, in this scenario, binding class means the class which will represent the XML structure. Okay, so what tags should be available in the XML? That structure should be represented by our Java class. Then only we can convert Java object to XML, XML to Java object. Okay, and another important point that we need to remember, up to JDK 1.8 version, JAXB is part of JDK. Up to 1.8 version, JAXB is part of JDK. But slowly, the demand is reduced for the XML. Sun Microsystem removed JAXB from, Oracle people removed the JAXB from Java 1.9 version. If you are using Java 1.8 version, directly you can work with the JAXB, no need of any dependency. But if you are using Java 9 or above versions, we need to add JAXB dependency manually. So up to 1.8, you no need to do anything. Directly in the Java, you can use the JAXB classes. But from Java 1.9 onwards, JAXB is not part of JDK. If you want JAXB, you need to add that manually. You need to add the dependency manually. Up to JDK 1.8 version, JAXB is part of JDK itself. But from Java 1.9 version, it is not part of JDK. So to use JAXB, we need to add the dependency in the pom.xml from 1.9 version. If we want to work with JAXB API from Java 1.9 version, then we have to add dependency in pom.xml file. Now you imagine why Oracle people removed JAXB. What is the reason? Demand is not there. When the demand is not there, why to keep that in the JDK? Why to make our JDK heavyweight? Unnecessary classes, why should we keep in the JDK? This is not required. People are not using XML nowadays. People are going for JSON. JSON is lightweight than XML. That's why Oracle people realized that JAXB does not have any demand. Remove this from the JDK. If anybody want it, they will manually add that as a dependency. Right. Now read this. What is XML? What is XML, guys? XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. XML is interoperable. XML will represent data in element format. Like this, elements will be available. Every element is a combination of start tag and end tag. In XML, we have two types of elements. What are those? One is a simple element, another one is compound element. What is the difference between simple element and compound element? Come on. Right. Element which contains data directly, those elements are called as simple elements. Elements which contains the child elements are called as compound elements. What is the JAXB API? Come on. JAXB stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding. Using this JAXB API, we can convert XML data to Java and Java to XML. Those are called as marshalling and unmarshalling. What is the marshalling? Come on. Converting Java object to XML is called as marshalling. What is unmarshalling? Converting XML data to Java object is called as unmarshalling. If we want to perform marshalling or unmarshalling, then what is required? Binding. What is the meaning of binding here? Lizard. In the Spring Web MVC, binding means form binding object. In the JAXB, binding means class represents XML structure. The Java class which is representing the structure of the XML, that is called as binding class. Okay. Now, I am not using 1.8 in my system. Can I work with JAXB directly? No. Up to 1.8 version, it is part of JDK. But from 1.9 version, it is not part of JDK. If you want to work with JAXB from 1.9, then what we need to do? We need to add that as a dependency in the pom.xml file. Okay, fine guys. Now see, in the Google, you can take that help also. JAXB API example. JAXB API example. Okay. JAXB Java 9, 10, 11 and beyond. Okay. JAXB dependency. What is the dependency we need to add now? Eclipse link Mocky, they have that dependency. Jakarta XML binding dependency is available. Jakarta XML binding dependency is available. Hello World example they have given. Hello World example they have given. JAXB marshaller, set property, JAXB context, XML conversion, XML to Java, Java to XML conversion. They have given several examples here. All right. Now, JAXB tutorial is available. XML to Java, Java to XML by using JAXB dependency. We don't need all these features. Converting XML to Java, Java to XML. So they are not using any dependency. What is the meaning of that? This tutorial they prepared up to Java 1.8 version, guide to JAXB. Here you can see introduction to JAXB. JAXB annotations are available. Marshalling, converting that, unmarshalling, converting to XML. Complex data types they have given here. Now, JAXB to Maven plugin. Maven plugin also available. Directly it will convert the JAXB Java to XML, XML to Java. The plugin also can be configured. Right. Schemas also available now. So let me go for JAXB dependency in the pom.xml. First, let me create my Maven project. File, new, other, Maven project. Simple project I want to create. 23 JAXB application. Group ID and artifact ID, finish. So project got created. I need to add the Lombok dependency. Let me take the dependency. Copying that. I'm adding Lombok dependency. Along with the Lombok, what dependency is required now? JAX-B dependency required. Close this project. Okay. Yes, I have created one JAX-B application. I have added Lombok. Along with the Lombok, I need to add JAX-B dependency. Let me go for JAX-B dependency. Where we can get that? MVN repository. Let me go for JAX-B. REST easy, JAX WS, JAX B API. JAX B API is available. Okay. Let me take this dependency, JAX B API. Right. I have added JAX B API dependency. Java x.xml.bind JAX B API version I have configured. Perfect. Now let me take our customer class we have created previously. Customer class available. I want to take that same customer. Or else do one thing. Perfect. I have a class called customer. Now I want to convert my customer object to XML. Converting the customer to XML is called as marshalling. Let us do that. Marshal demo. Let me create a package, new class, Marshal demo. Right. Go to our main method, create the customer object and set the data. Customer C is equal to new customer. Customer dot set ID, some value. Okay, first let me check with one value, XML is creating or not. So here we need to go for JAX-B context dot new instance of customer dot class. With the customer class, I want to create one JAX-B context. By using that JAX-B context, I want to convert Java to XML. Now let me take it. I got the context object. Once we got the context dot create marshaller, which will give me marshaller object. Marshaller dot marshal object comma file. What is my object? Customer. My object is a customer, new file. I want to go for customer.xml. Now system.out.println XML created. System.out.println XML created. See the logic here. I have created my project. In the project pom.xml, I have added Lombok dependency and I have added JAX-B dependency. Lombok and JAX-B dependencies are added. And I have created one binding class. Then I have taken one Java class that is called Marshal demo. Customer C is equal to new customer. For the customer object, we can set the data. C.set ID, C.set name. Okay, set ID, set name, and C.set email ID, any value, john.@gmail.com, and we will get C.set phone number, some value. Okay, that is long value. Now, after creating the customer object, I'm creating JAX-B context object. Once we create the JAX-B context, using that context, we are creating marshaller. Context dot create marshaller. Once we got the marshaller object, marshaller dot marshal. Which object you want to marshal? Customer object. Where you want to keep the data? In the customer dot XML. What is the meaning of marshalling? What is the meaning of marshalling? Converting Java object to XML is called as marshalling. Now, it will give an exception. Let's check that. Run as Java application. Working or not working? It is not working. It is saying that class not found exception. It is expecting one class called com.xml.b2.contextFactory. Implementation of Jaxby API has not been found in the module path or class path. Boss, you have added Jaxby API, but I am unable to find that in the class path. Now, copy the exception, go to browser, right. Stack Overflow, they will tell some solution. What they are telling? Along with the Jaxby API, we need to add a dependency called Jaxby implementation also. Copy this. Go to pom.xml. Jaxby API I have added. Now for the Jaxby, I have added IMPL also. Now let's try. Run as a Java application. It is saying that one more class is not found. What is that class? com.sun.istack.pool. Now, istack.pool. Jaxby core, okay. Jaxby runtime. Let me add all these dependencies, guys. Copy this dependency. Jaxby API, IMPL, core and Java assist. Total 4 dependencies I have added. One is Jaxby core, Jaxby API, Jaxby IMPL and Java assist. Let us try. Run as Java application. This time different exception is available. Yeah, this is known issue. Now it is saying that unable to marshal in.ashok.customer element because it is missing one annotation called XML root element. Whenever we are converting Java object to XML, what should be the root element of the XML? There should be one root element in the XML. So now I want to represent my class as a root element. Now I will specify XML root element. When you are going for Jackson, these annotations are not required. But when we are going for XML, our Java class should represent structure of the XML. To represent the structure of the XML, we need to specify one annotation called XML root element. Now go here, run as Java application. With this, we are able to create the XML. Go to the project, refresh that. Now you can see customer.xml created, source available, Control-Shift-F. Now can you see the Java data, whatever the customer object available, are we able to convert customer object to customer XML? Yes, we are able to convert the customer object to customer XML. So what operation we have done? We have done marshalling. Remember, in our pom.xml, we have added 4 dependencies for that. One is a Jaxby core dependency, Jaxby API, Jaxby IMPL and Java assist. Then I created one binding class. For this binding class, what is required? XML root element is required. That is mandatory, guys. Then go for Marshall demo. Here I'm creating object for the customer. This object I want to convert into XML. For that I'm going for Jaxby context.new instance. I got the context object, context.create marshaller. With this I got the marshaller object. Marshaller.marshal. What is the meaning of marshaller.marshal? What is the meaning of marshaller.marshal? Whatever the Java object available, I want to convert into my XML. So customer XML created. This XML contain the data. How many compound elements available? How many simple elements available? There is only one compound element is available, that is called customer. Name, ID, email, phone number, those are simple element. What is the difference between simple element and compound element? The element which contains the data, that is called simple. The element which contains the child, that is called compound. Now, I want to go for unmarshal. What is the meaning of unmarshal? Now I have XML. I want to convert the XML data to Java object. Okay. Marshal demo completed. Now let us go for unmarshal demo. New class. Unmarshal demo. Right. Main method. I already have my XML file. Customer.xml. File f is equal to new file. Okay. What is our file name? Customer.xml. In order to convert the XML to Java, I need JAXB context. Let me create JAXB context. JAXB context dot new instance of customer.class. Okay. Store that into context object exception. Context object. Perfect. Right. Now I want to perform unmarshalling. To perform the unmarshalling, let us get the unmarshaller object. How to get the unmarshaller object? Context dot create unmarshal. Unmarshaller. Unmarshaller dot unmarshal. Unmarshaller dot unmarshal. That is expecting my file object. What is the return type? Object. Let me convert that object into customer. Typecasting. Customer to customer of object. I'm doing conversion. Superclass object I'm getting. I'm converting into subclass object. System.out.println of customer. So this is the logic which is used to convert XML to Java. That is called unmarshalling. To perform the unmarshalling, there is a class called unmarshaller. To perform the marshalling, there is a class called marshaller. Unmarshaller and marshaller available. Let me go for unmarshaller. Run as Java application. Am I able to get the Java object? Yes. XML to Java, we are able to perform. So let me give the steps here. Working with JAXB API. If you understand this Jackson API and JAXB API, tomorrow REST API development will become easy. In the REST API, everything will be represented in the form of XML or JSON. So tomorrow when you send the request, output will come, response will come in the JSON format, or response will come in the XML format. Sir, your method returning object, but how you are getting response as a XML or JSON? Internally, our Spring Boot will use JAXB API and Jackson API. Able to follow me? Right. Working with the JAXB API, first one, create Maven Quick Start project. Create Maven Quick Start project. Then add below dependencies. So many dependencies are available, guys. Lombok and JAXB. Okay, several dependencies I have added. After adding the dependencies, what is the next step? What is the next step? Create binding class. What is the binding class? Represent XML structure. Represent XML structure. Right. I'm taking one simple class customer. If you remove this annotation, it will not work. If you remove the generation, it will not work. That is mandatory. XML root element. Right. Then create marshaller and unmarshaller classes. First one is Marshall demo. And the second one is unmarshaller demo. Fine. Marshall demo and unmarshal demo. Perfect. Now, practice at least one example by using Jackson and Jaxby so that you will understand how they are working internally. Tomorrow, when we are going to develop the REST API, you will get understanding easily how Java object converted to XML, how Java object converted to JSON. Perfect. Now, see this, guys. If you go for now RESTful service architecture, you should understand consumer application will be available and provider application will be available. Assume that I am a customer for Make My Trip. I will log in into Make My Trip. I will enter my journey data. Make My Trip will capture my data. Make My Trip will convert into JSON. Will send the request to IRCTC with the JSON data. IRCTC will take that JSON, will convert into object, will execute the logic, and will send the response again in the form of JSON. So consumer provider always will communicate with the XML data or JSON data. If they are using XML or JSON, they developed by using which technology? That is not important. They can be used Java or .NET, Python, PHP, whatever it may be. So consumer and provider no need to be developed by using same technology. Consumer will send the request to provider with the JSON data. Provider will execute the logic. Provider will send the response in the form of JSON to the consumer. Consumer provider both can be developed by using different technologies, but the data will be exchanged in the form of XML or JSON format. Are you guys clear? Any questions on this? So how to work with XML data in the Java? Jaxb API. By using Jaxb API, we can convert XML to Java, Java to XML. Converting Java to XML is called as marshalling. XML to Java is called as unmarshalling. Similarly, here we are using one API called Jaxb API. Up to 1.8, it is part of the JDK, but from 1.9, manually we need to add it. Now, Jackson, this is a third-party API. If you want to convert Java to JSON, JSON to Java, we need to go for Jackson API. Java to JSON, JSON to Java. Write value and read value methods available. There is another API called JSON API that is provided by Google. So what is the purpose of JSON API? That also used to convert Java to JSON, JSON to Java. What methods available? Two JSON method and from JSON methods are available in the JSON API. Good. So with this, we are done with prerequisites to develop our RESTful services. We are done with the prerequisites to develop our RESTful services. Now, do you know what is a distributed application? Yeah. What is a distributed application? If one application communicating with the another application, that is called distributed application. What are the distributed technologies are available? Corba, RMI, EJB, SOAP web services. The latest one is the RESTful services. Okay. Now, coming to the REST architecture, provider and consumer. What is the purpose of a provider? Who is a provider? The application which is providing the services to other application, that is called provider. What is a consumer? The application which is accessing the services from other applications, that is called consumer. Now, HTTP protocol. What methods are available here? Get, post, put, to delete. When to go for put method? When to go for put method? If you want to update some data, then put method. When to go for post method? To insert the record. Get method, get the data. Delete method, delete the record. What is 400 status code? Client error. 500 server error. 200 success. Okay. What is the payload? What is the payload? The data that we are sending in the request body or response body is called as a payload. Okay. Now, next we discussed about XML and JAX-B API. So XML will represent in the tag format. Element will be available. To convert XML to Java, Java to XML, we are going to deal with JAX-B API. What is unmarshalling? Converting XML to Java is called unmarshalling. What is the marshalling? Java to XML is called marshalling. Okay. Next one, JSON. What is a JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON will represent the data in the form of key and value pair. So in the Java, do we have direct support to deal with JSON? No. Either you need to go for Jackson API or JSON API. In the Jackson API, which class we are using to convert Java to JSON? Object mapper. What methods available? Write value and read value methods are available to do that conversion. In the Spring Boot REST API, do I need to convert or it will taken care by Spring Boot? It will taken care by Spring Boot in order to convert Java to JSON and JSON to Java. Yes, fine guys, good. So with this, we understood the prerequisites to start our REST API development. So in the Monday session, we are going to see how to develop a provider. I mean to say, how to develop one REST API. Once the provider development completed, how to test it, how to generate the documentation, then how to develop consumer, then how to integrate one application with another application, how to handle exceptions. These things we are going to discuss in the next week. Provider development, consumer development, Postman, Swagger, REST template, web client, exception handling. We are going to discuss them. Yep. Any questions, anyone? You got 2 days time, 2 days holidays. What is the plan? Seriously? Try to complete the project task and try to practice XML example and JAX-B example before coming to Monday class. Thank you guys. We'll see you on Monday.